What's up guys, 8-Bit Wizard here, and today I'm going to show you how to use dictionaries in Python. So let's just go ahead and create our variable, use our assignment operator, and throw in some curly braces. Now, curly braces are how you're actually going to define and store a dictionary into the variable dictionary. So you can use curly braces if you want to assign a dictionary. Next, one is going to be our key, and you separate your key and values by a colon, and then we'll go ahead and make a quick little 3-item grocery list. Okay, so 1 is the key for Apple, and as I mentioned, key and values are separated by a colon, and the different key and value pairs are separated by a comma. So 1 and Apple are one key and value, 2 and orange are another one, and the same for 3 and blueberry. So let's go ahead and print that out just to see that everything works. Save and run that, and as you can see, everything prints out. So now what you can do is you can also print out a specific key and value. So let's say we want orange, right? It's right in the middle. It's a good example for this case. Okay, so use your access modifier, which is just square brackets next to the dictionary you want to use, or not dictionary, my bad, the variable you want to use. So dictionary, square brackets, and then type in the number. Okay, this is not always going to work for dictionaries, and I'll show you why. So we get orange back, right? And if this were a list, technically this pair or this these values that we would want to get would be 1 instead of 2. What we're actually doing is accessing the key. The key is basically how we access the value, because the value is associated with the key. So that's how we get those. Now, let's say we want to change them. How would you go about that? Well, you can type in dictionary, you use your key, right? So use your accessor to access the key. Once you access the key, just use an assignment operator, and we can say instead we want it to be, let's say, a blackberry, right? So actually, before we save and run that, let's print that out again to show that our change has taken effect. So as you can see, at first we printed out what we originally had. We used our access to get orange with the key, and then the key 3, the value of it was changed to blackberry. So there's that. Now, with keys, you can have multiple different values as well. So we'll get into that. Let's say we have a list of grades, and in this scenario, we're only going to have 2 students, but let's do our dictionary and say student 1. And how you have multiple values is you just basically make a list inside of a dictionary, and you do that with the square brackets. So we can do A, and then we'll do B and C. Comma again, same rules apply, and we'll do student 2. Okay, so our dictionary is made. Let's go ahead and print it out, make sure everything works, right? Save and run that. And as we can see, student 1, A, B, C, and student 2. So we can actually access the specific values. And as you may guess, sometimes it can get a little confusing. For example, if I wanted, I could add another list and then a list inside that list, and the values could go on forever. But how you would access certain values would be the same as in a list, right? So if we said print grades, and then first thing we have to do is access our key. So go ahead and type in student 1. Make sure it's surrounded by either double or single quotes, because unlike the previous example, our key has to be a string. Okay, if it's a number, you just type in a number as we did previously, but if it has any alphabetical characters, has to be a string. Okay, so student 1, close that off, have another pair, and then type in the index that you want. So let's say we want B, then that's going to be index of 2, right? And then close off our parentheses. And if we save and run that, we should see we get students, and then down below that we were returned B. Okay, so now let's say we don't want student 2 anymore. We want them out of our data set. How would we do that besides just, going up and erasing it? So one of the ways to do that is type in del, which is just an abbreviation for delete, and then type in the variable, type in the key. So student 2, close off your access, and basically all you do, del, short for delete, the variable, your scope, which your scope is the key, student 2, and then if we go ahead and print grades again, we will see that student 2 has been removed. And as you see, they have. So now, the other thing about delete is you can also use it for specific values as well. If you just type in the key, it's going to delete the key and all the values associated with it. But if you do as such, and let's do student 1, close off our scope, open up a new one, and say 1, okay? So we have two A's, right? So when we do this, if I go ahead and print our variable grades off again, we should have A, B, and C. And as you see, we do down below. So with del or delete, we're able to actually access individuals and specific values associated with the key. But as you notice in all of our examples, in order to access those values, even though they're in a list, we have to pass in the key to access them. That's because, as I mentioned before, the values are associated with the key. When you pass in the key, it knows where to look for the values. If you were just to pass in, this spot or this index or whatever, dictionaries don't work like that. Python would just get confused and basically be like, what are you trying to have me do? So always make sure you have your key when trying to access the variables, not the variables, my bad, trying to access the values. So always have the key when accessing the values. Okay, that's it for this. If you have any questions, go ahead and just comment down below. And if you like, go ahead and subscribe. And until next time.